wonder how things are going to go. He handled it with a lot of class, and it was resolved without a problem.
Who knew that our very own Mike Key was so similar to our future Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth? The composure that he had yesterday was extraordinary. It was, especially when Pocahontas starts talking about people that work in the defense industry, and they come out of the military, they go work for a defense contractor, and she said generals, they oftentimes wait 10 years. You know what? She says it better. Let's let her say it.
In other words, you're quite sure that every general who serves should not go directly into the defense industry for 10 years. You're not willing to make that same pledge?
I'm not a general, Senator.
You'll be the one, let us just be clear, in charge of the generals.
I want to make this very clear, as Elizabeth Warren is trying to. Nothing is more embarrassing than your colleagues laughing at you.
Yes.
When you're in that room, there is nothing more embarrassing than walking into that sort of trap where it wasn't like, again, it was a gotcha question, but it wasn't like Pete Hegseth was being somehow defiant.
Right.
He just pointed out the facts, and facts in this case were funny.
It is something I think that all of the nominees should do, is point out the ridiculousness of what they're saying, because Democrats aren't prepared for this. They're not prepared to get any kind of backlash from anyone, especially when it comes to the truth and making mistakes. So I think it's great that they're getting laughed at. They should be laughed at their colleagues, because everything they're saying is over the top and ridiculous, and it's not founded in truth.
That's the most important part, I believe, is the fact that the truth is on Pete Hegseth's side. And the silly stuff that doesn't matter, that sits at the feet of the Democrats. And it was on display yesterday. It was spotlighted yesterday. People you can take serious and people you can't. And that's what I took away from the entire hearing, that Hegseth is ready to lead the Pentagon and the Democrats are unserious people. That's it.
What jumped out to me was that when you have people that are very questionable in character, talking to somebody else who, then they're bringing up his questionable character. Oh my God, the fact that he's a war fighter and his biggest blemish is, hey, you've had multiple marriages.
Yeah,
that was their point.
That was your gotcha.
Versus you're selling out your country. Because that's what they do.
That's what Joe Biden does. Mm-hmm.
That's what they do on a regular basis. When you start putting those on the weight, one of them significantly weighs more than the other. Yeah. Multiple marriages, or you sell out your country on a daily basis.
Having an affair is something that I think is disgusting, and I don't think it's a good thing. I think it's horrible. It's not for me. I understand it happens throughout the entire world all the time.
Since the beginning of time.
And do I hold him responsible for that? Yeah. But I'm sure he holds himself responsible for that as well. It really doesn't do much to me. I've met Pete Hegseth a few times at CPAC when he's doing the Fox News stuff there, and Joey Jones was nice enough to introduce me, I think, one time too. And he's a very nice guy, great guy, and a fun-loving guy, and everybody loves him. Everybody that works with him loves him. None of this stuff that they're trying to push out is anything truthful about Pete Hegseth. Yep, he's made mistakes. We've all made mistakes. Every single one of us has made mistakes. Tug says it all the time. No one's perfect except for one. And Pete Hegseth lives his life in the way that he chooses. He's made some mistakes, but he's also chosen to be a better man, a better husband, a better father, and a better person overall. And I think that he showed that yesterday.
Point to the one without blemish. I'll wait.
Joe Virgin River.
It's just a bunch of hands in the studio pointing in different directions.
I pointed to Carlos.
Maybe Joe.
Yeah. Look, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I've got some zits, so
he's got teenage blemishes.
I mean, in this room.
And that sweater's stupid. That's a blemish on your record.
Maybe more so Joe.
Yeah. Good kid, man. Good dude. Got a bright future ahead of him for sure. We're glad that you're here. 404-741-1230. If you'd like to talk about what you saw during the Hegseth confirmation hearing, or what you expect out of today.
Give me that Zen.
Moving forward, yes. Can we get some Zen? If you want to bring some of that in, we'll take
That's
all
sin.
Yeah, that's right.
Another blemish on your record, Joe.
That's exactly right. Boy, howdy, they add up after a while. Man, do I have them. Goodness. Ooh, Lord. All right, when we come back, the Democrats, they absolutely got destroyed by a senator that most people weren't even familiar with. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Hawks beat the Suns last night, 122-117, on the back of a 43-point game from Trae Young with 22 points and 21 boards from Onyeka Okongwu. Another basketball team in Georgia has been playing even better, though. UGA is a 23rd ranked team in the country with a 14-2 record and are coming off impressive wins against Oklahoma and 8th-ranked Kentucky. Georgia has a tough road ahead, though. For tonight, they play 6th-ranked Tennessee, then the best team in the country in Auburn on Saturday. In February, the Dogs then play 4 more top 25 teams. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth if they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turfco to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turfco was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turfco to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
It's a new year and a new opportunity to save at Jim Ellis Buick GMC.
For a limited time, save $7,500 off MSRP on select 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 models at Jim Ellis Buick GMC.
Plus, save an additional $2,500 with a qualifying trade for a total savings of $10,000 off MSRP. With the GMC Sierra 1500, you get it all: performance, luxury, and style.
Intentionally crafted to exceed your expectations. And for a purchase experience that will exceed your expectations, visit the folks you know and trust, Jim Ellis Buick GMC.
Start online at JimEllisBuickGMC.com or shop in person in Chamblee off Peachtree Industrial, just inside the perimeter, or in Buford off Highway 20 near I-985. Jim Ellis Buick GMC.
We are professional grade.
Offer applies to 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 SLT 5.3-liter V8 models. Example stock number 5155039. MSRP $67,570. After $10,000 in Jim Ellis discounts, sale price is $57,570. Excludes TABT and state fees. $2,500 trade assistance available. With 2011 or newer trade-ins, expires 1/31/25.
Love having a true conservative news and talk station in Atlanta? Then spread the word. Tell your family and friends to download the Xtra 1063 app and stream The Morning Extra, The Kimmer Show, and Atlanta's biggest lineup of conservative voices.
Tug Rhino and Losa on The Morning Extra. We're on the air until 10. Glad that you're here. 404-741-1230 at Xtra 1063 across the social media platforms. And the best way to listen is always the Xtra 1063 app. So there was a interesting exchange by a senator that I'd heard of, but I didn't know much about. And his name is Mark Wayne Mullen. Man, that's the best. I mean, that's a whole lot of names.
Yeah, that's so cool.
You know what I mean?
He's such. I forgot what I really noticed him from, but it was about a year ago, and I forgot what he did. But he's just such a good senator.
By the way, Wayne isn't his middle name.
No, that's all one.
Mark Wayne.
Yeah. Mark Wayne.
Yeah.
But if you do add Wayne to any name as a middle name, in this case, it screams Oklahoma senator.
Yeah, it does.
But it just does say down home.
Yeah, it does. I agree with that. It's like putting Beth or is it like Sarah Beth?
Yes,
Mayor Beth. You know, it's very complimentary.
It feels
wholesome.
Very Southern wholesome.
Yeah, it does.
Like if Joe Virgin River went by Joey, but he was known as Joey Wayne.
Joey Wayne Virgin. I love it, dude. He's in there.
Suddenly it's different.
I don't like Joey.
You do or don't?
I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Well.
It's what you call like children.
Well, that's fine. You're Joey Wayne.
But you're
Joey with Joe Wayne.
Yeah,
or even Joe Wayne.
Okay, we'll go
I like
Joe
Wayne.
Wayne better. Well, I say we make a
sounds like
show,
Joanne.
Joe Wayne Virgin.
A show decision that you're no longer Captain. You're no longer Captain Goey Virgin River. You're freaking Joe Wayne Virgin River. Well, I mean,
whatever you want.
I think Joe Wayne Virgin River is a new. I think we could all. Everybody in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There we go. It is. There we go. It's
passed.
set.
That was easy.
I want you to hear from Mark Wayne Mullen because his conversation with Pete Hegseth was
it's about qualifications.
It totally is, and it's so stinking important.
There's a lot about qualifications. I think it's so hypocritical of senators, especially on the other side of the aisle, be talking about his qualifications, not being able to lead the secretary or be the Secretary of Defense, and yet your qualifications aren't any better. You guys aren't any more qualified to be the senator than I'm qualified to be the senator, except we're lucky enough to be here. But let me read you what the qualifications of the Secretary of Defense is, because I Googled it and went through a lot of different sites, and really it's hard to see. But in general, the U.S. Secretary of Defense position is filled by a civilian. That's it. If you have served in the U.S. Army Forces and have been in the service for, you have to be retired for at least 7 years, and Congress can weigh that. And then there's questions that the senator from Massachusetts brought up about serving on a board inside the military industry, and yet your own secretary that you all voted for, Secretary Austin, we had to vote on a waiver because he stepped off the board of Raytheon. But I guess that's okay because that's a Democrat Secretary of Defense. But we so quickly forget about that. And then Senator Kaine, or well, I guess I better use the senator from Virginia, starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job?
And he goes on to say, I know you know what I'm talking about. Don't pretend like you don't know what I'm talking about.
There was a lot of sheepish looks going on.
Yep.
Everybody who thought to themselves, I went out to dinner, had a cocktail, and showed back up for a vote.
Or several.
Or several.
But again, I think it's very important. Carlos brought it up before. Listen to everybody else, your colleagues, laughing at the questions that were asked by Democrats. That's how laughable Democrats acted. That's how embarrassed they should be today. I remember now, Mark Wayne Mullen was the one who, after the first assassination attempt on Donald Trump, went all in on why this is unacceptable for the Secret Service. And again, he's got a long military background as well, Mullen. So I think that it's brilliant that he brought up all the relevant things,
all the obvious stuff,
and the obvious stuff that Democrats are focusing on rather than actually doing the job that they were voted in and the mandate that was sent to them. This is what we want done. They're going to play games, and he shut them down real quick.
I love how they talk about Hegseth not qualified. I mean, this man has got dirt on his boots. I've said it over and over again, and I'll continue to say it. And that means he has the respect of the people that he will be leading. Mm-hmm. And that is mandatory in the military. It cannot happen any other way unless you want to lose men and women. You want to lose a battle. You want to lose a war. And then he took a step back and he talked about how the one qualification of the SecDef is you're a civilian. That's it.
Yep.
There's not some grand test that you take. It's not like, trying to become a lawyer, we got to take the law exam, whatever that is. I'm sure it has a name. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know. But there's not much there. Just be a civilian. No different than any of those people that are in the positions that they are as senators. Is it great that some of them have a great education? Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But does that make them more qualified than the next person? Nope.
No, because when I look at his qualification, I look at his history, I look at the medals that he's won, I look at how he performed when he was, volunteered to put his life on the line for this country. That's what I'm looking for. I think it's great that he has that. I wouldn't be the civilian you'd want to put in charge of that. I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about the job. I wouldn't even apply for it. But he does, and I feel very secure in having him work with Donald Trump and the rest of the House and Senate to get things done and make sure that our military is the most lethal in the world.
I think about what happened in Afghanistan and losing 13 warriors. And Pete Hegseth, the biggest issue that he is basically throwing out there, the thing that makes the most sense about him is that he cares. He cares about the fighting men and women, that the people on the ground are going to be given every piece of equipment and every opportunity, especially with the rules of engagement, to come home safely.
Yeah.
And do a dangerous
and also
job.
Win.
But that is the reason why he's got the backing of the people on the ground, because he does care. It's not about politics for him in this case.
Yeah, again, the dust on the boots comment came up many times. That's what they're seeing. This man had dust on his boots. They're not shined up behind a desk. They're not shined up from being, not in service. He's been in service.
Or having somebody shine them for you.
Yeah, I think that's the respect that he gets from them. And who else would you want to lead you other than somebody else who's been in your position, who knows the PTSD that you may be suffering, some of the things that you've went through, how heavy a round is, those kind of things. That's what you want out of your service members, because who cares what these generals think? We care about the military and the members.
About 90 seconds, going to go out to Stephanie at 404-741-1230, who watched the Hegseth hearing as well. Stephanie, what's on your mind?
Hey, guys, I listened to this thing in my car yesterday because I'm that kind of a nerd. And the contrast between when the women would ask questions and the men would ask was stark. The men were reasoned and logical, and the women were emotional. Kristen Gillibrand just yelled the whole time. Yeah. I mean, I had to turn the radio down because all she was doing was yelling and screaming. Maisie Hirono sounded like she was bombed. I mean, we all know she's not the brightest bulb, but she sounded drunk the whole time.
Yeah,
I was embarrassed. Every single woman made me want to crawl under a rock with the questions that she asked, and I don't even know what the leadership was thinking of the Democrat Party to let them ask the questions in that way. They just sounded ridiculous.
Stephanie, did you not feel like you should put your man hat on and tell every single one of them to just calm down? Because that works on every woman I've ever known.
Right. It does. It is amazing that you have figured out that secret. Just calm down.
Yeah, it's always well if you go, shh, you're getting a little emotional. Calm down, ma'am.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
She's the greatest.
But she's absolutely. Gildebrand was the one too. Yeah,
She just kept yelling.
and she sounded like a child. Like her voice and everything was just so irritating. I was like, oh my god, and she wouldn't stop.
I was listening to Glenn Beck, after the show, and that was when she had her time, and they were making fun of her about how much, well, for lack of a better term, they were calling her the hag.
Oh, my.
And talking about when she ran for president, how she looks completely different now.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it wasn't until I went and saw the highlights, I went, oh my, like that woman was very presentable, and now she's turned into like the Wicked Witch of the East.
Dude, I would say Tim Kaine, same way though. Tim Kaine came off that way too.
Like if there was somebody who was weirder than Tim Walz, it would have been Tim Kaine, the running mate of Hillary Clinton. Man, he looks disheveled.
The odds of confirmation for Pete Hegseth are unbeatable. Next on the Morning Extra after Neil Bort's report and a Fox News update.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
To say a person is ignorant means that they haven't yet learned. To say that they're stupid means that they are incapable of learning. Yes, there are stupid people around, but they can be very entertaining. I mean, there are people that listen to Alex Jones and believe what he says. But for pure, unadulterated entertainment based on stupidity, you can't beat the Flurfs. That's spelled F-L-E-R-F-S. These are people who believe, who are convinced that the earth is flat. No, I'm not kidding. And I've spent some time on the Facebook pages dedicated to this nonsense. You want some details? The earth is flat. The sun is only about 4,000 miles away. The earth is covered by a huge dome put there by God to keep the atmosphere in so that we can breathe. And why doesn't the water just run off? Well, because the flat earth is surrounded by an ice wall, an impenetrable ice wall that's protected apparently by military force. And for the most part, the Flurfs back all of this up with Bible scripture, references to something called the firmament or firmament, I don't know what. And they're serious. Here are some Facebook pages you might want to check out. The Flat Earth Group, Flat Earth Discussions, Flat Earth Society. Pictures of a round globe Earth, they're all faked by NASA. The moon landing, that was faked. I mean, the moon really is closer than the sun, and that means closer than 4,000 miles. These flat earth Facebook pages are worth the entertainment value, but don't stay around too long. Your brain will rot. Or if you're a Democrat, it will rot even more. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Have you considered securing your family's future, protecting your hard-earned assets, navigating complex legal matters with ease? Nelson Elder Care Law is here to guide and empower you and your loved ones. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust and expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid crisis solutions, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, Nelson Elder Care Law protects what matters most to you. Imagine a team dedicated to safeguarding your legacy every step of the way. Our flat fees ensure transparency, and our customized plans prioritize your family's specific needs. Are you worried about protecting your family and your legacy after you're gone? Let us help you ensure you're absolutely protected from whatever curveballs life may throw your way. Schedule a complimentary legacy planning meeting with our legal team in Marietta or Woodstock today. Contact us at 678-250-9355 or visit at nelsoneldercarelaw.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
And if you really think about it, technically, corn dogs are just beef Wellington in a different tax bracket.
Beef Wellington. Well, kind of.
Think about it.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Xtra 106.3 and the Xtra app. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
It's Marco Rubio's turn in the Trump spotlight. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The senator's confirmation hearings this morning for Secretary of State and his Republican colleague, Senator Tom Cotton, tells Fox.
Well, I think Marco will do a great job, not just at this hearing, but implementing President Trump's foreign policy. I suspect the Democrats will focus on some of their past differences. They did, after all, run against each other in 2016.
Also today,
the Senate Intelligence Committee will question Trump's nominee to lead CIA, John Ratcliffe, who previously directed the entire nation's spy apparatus as Director of National Intelligence. As a former House member, he was a staunch Trump defender in Congress. Plus, Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi will sit for one of a 2-day confirmation hearing this morning on Capitol Hill.
As Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Also facing hearings today, the Trump nominees for Energy and Transportation Secretaries and the Director of the Office of Management and Budget. The day after Pete Hegseth's contentious hearing with Democrats who don't have the votes to block the Defense Secretary nominee, telling Hegseth he's not qualified and questioning him over sexual misconduct and financial mismanagement and alcohol abuse allegations. Republican Senator Jim Banks tells Fox.
The Democrats made up false accusations with unverified rumors and tried to use that against Pete, but he swept it all aside. He focused on the issues.
5 days before President-elect Trump returns to the White House, President Biden will go on TV giving a farewell address tonight from the Oval Office, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. On his way out, the president's notified Congress he plans to lift the designation of Cuba as a state sponsor of terror.
It's part of a deal struck by the Catholic Church, which will see hundreds of Cuba's political prisoners freed. The U.S. considers these inmates unjustly detained. The White House will also lift some economic restrictions.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. It's a Cuba policy change President-elect Trump could undo. There's still strong wind worry in the Los Angeles area, fearing the wildfires could get worse. They've already burned down more than 12,000 homes and buildings with 24 deaths confirmed. America's listening to Fox News.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
This is Tucker Carlson, and you're listening to The Morning Extra with Tug, Rhino, and Los on Extra 106.3.
Download the app so you can listen live and on demand. You know, I was reading yesterday that 97% of people are sick of something. And if you do the work that we do, it's easy to be like, I'm so sick of what comes out of Washington, D.C. or out from under the Gold Dome. Or it's easy to be sick and tired of politics.
Sick of you not giving me that apple.
Well, buddy, look there. I brought enough for everybody. I am a...
What's up with that chi, Danny?
That's right. Made it last night, didn't you? I cut that apple up
cut
fresh.
that apple last night.
Fresh.
He has to sneak down the stairs.
Right. Yeah.
So his wife doesn't bust him cutting apples.
That's right. She's like, "What are you doing? Cutting apples for the show again?"
Again?
Yes, that's exactly. What
2 apples a morning?
I'd buy those apples for you and me, Tug.
Not
Yeah,
for
that's right.
Carlos and Joe and Rhino.
She knows I'm a sharer. Is that the way you put it? A person
Yes.
who shares
A sharer.
by nature.
That sounds good.
Yeah, we'll take it. But yeah. So it's easy to say, man, I'm sick and tired of politics. I'm sick and tired of Washington. But for me, it's a little more simple. I'm sick and tired of this damn cold weather. That's what I'm sick and tired of.
Oh,
I mean, we
yeah.
go around. This can be very therapeutic if you just want to go around the room and tell me what you're all sick and tired of.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it because I just like this time of year. Like, I missed out on the
What
fact that
about
we
it?
had a very mild October into November. Like, we were sitting damn near 70 degrees. And, of course, Tug's like, thumbs up. I loved it. No, I like it when it's cold for a little while. It's awesome.
I do, too. I love the cold.
I want to agree with you. And I'm agreeable by nature. But
No, you can say we're wrong.
Both
That's
wrong.
fine. That's fine. It's just a
Wrong.
comfort thing.
My favorite thing about winter is the last day.
Yeah, this morning I had the heat on right when I got in my truck. You know, I had that little remote start so it gets all warm. It was so hot I had to roll my window down and turn it off because it was too hot. See, I need a little bit of cold. I like sleeping in the cold. It could be 58 in the room as long as I'm under covers. That's how I kind of like my cold. Now, on the same side of you, I don't like going outside in it, and I'm ready for spring. I've been doing all my vegetables and everything just in preparation, so now I'm done with winter. I only want 1 month, though.
So an offshoot of this.
Okay.
I know Rhino saw it. Did you see what I texted you last night? Where suddenly
That was amazing.
the comedy world merged into our world.
Yeah, they stole our bit.
So on Joe Rogan, they had the Protect Our Parks Part 14.
Okay, yeah. See, but it just came up as it really didn't tell me what it was, and I never got to it, so I don't know what it was.
The funny part was when I clicked on it, it took me right to that
it.
part.
That's what I tried to do to send you exactly to that part. And they were talking about what goes on around the rest of the world, and it quickly
with gay men that are killed and stuff.
It turned
all over the world
very quickly into, why are you gay? And then they played the audio and they had the discussion and they talked about how great that entire thing is, and they're dying. Now, we've been on it for about a year or two, okay?
And they finally caught up
So the
with
biggest
us.
podcast in the world finally got over to it and was doing what we do with it. So I'm just glad that 4 comedians that are excellent in their field find the same thing funny that we do.
Well,
so we don't have to agree on whether. We can
No.
agree on why are you gay is funny.
On humor, absolutely, because I think that is what brings everybody together.
Why are you gay?
Even
Why
in
are
the
you
toughest times, you know, the worst times of your life, if you can find a way to laugh, you're going to be okay. You're going to make a way through it.
But you're gay.
But you're gay.
But you may be. Yeah. No, I love it, man. I think it's fantastic when.
So it's when
we're
I send
so
you
far
stuff.
ahead.
I'm not sending you meatspin.com. Like if I send you something, just click on it for a second.
If you said meatspin.com, that would be gay.
Just send me.
Very gay.
Really.
Just check it out for like 30 seconds.
Yes, absolutely.
I even time marked it. I was like 1856.
1856.
Check it out.
Yes, that's right. And
It's really funny.
Yeah.
I will.
I was trying to figure out
straight out of our show.
I was waiting and waiting because it took like a minute before they got to that part of it.
Like, where's it building to?
Yeah, where's it building to? So it was the best part of the clip because they're sitting here talking about, it's illegal in some countries to be gay. They'll kill you if you're gay. And then I forgot who it was. Just goes, why are you gay?
And immediately, all 4 of them
lost it.
knew exactly what it
And then
was.
they just went back around like we do all the time.
Yeah, it just turned into this circle of but you're gay.
Well, remember, because the woman pushes back.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, well, you don't know that about me. And he's like, yes, you're gay.
Yes, you are. You're gay.
But you're gay.
That's right. I do know that. Yeah, and from Africa. But
So when we ask
we're
that
funny.
question to each other, just know it
That's
comes
where it
from
comes
a place of love and comedy.
humor, and humor.
Yeah.
But I do believe there's nothing that we do that is meant to be cut to the bone ugly.
No.
Like there's things that we don't agree with, and we point that out for sure all the time.
Well, let's point this out. Like we have Buddy Carter coming up this hour. There are things that we don't agree with him. But we appreciate and respect the fact that he comes on the show to explain these sorts of things when it comes to spending bills. I sit back and I'm like, he's the only person we've ever have come on this show and said 80% of the federal budget we can't touch.
Yeah. And then was brave enough to say, look, they don't even want me talking about it.
Yeah. They don't want me talking about it. I'm like, good for you. Thank you.
At least you're being honest.
Well, now he's got the backing. We'll find out because there's a lot of stuff he's involved in. Obviously, we talked about the fair tax bill he pushed through. We'll talk about that. But there's other things going on with the reconciliation bill, how they're going to handle the California wildfire funding, all of that. There are a lot of questions with the House that we're going to bring up with Buddy Carter as well.
No doubt, like conditions on that is something that people have brought up, and maybe there needs to be conditions on that money because unlike a hurricane that has affected Carlos and his family and their home down in Florida, or the hurricane that went through western North Carolina, East Tennessee, spun off tornadoes in South Carolina and down in South Georgia, but also in Augusta. Those are uncontrollable things. There's nothing you can do about that. Those wildfires, you could.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I think the conditional money that goes to California, I understand, because if they don't come with conditions and those conditions aren't met, this could happen again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because the ideas of what they did wrong are going to come out more and more and more and more. And this is going to be really bad for Gavin Newsom. This is going to be really bad for Karen Bass. This is going to be bad for a lot of them. So I'm glad that it's going to be brought up, and I'm glad that we're going to have the House and the Senate that can pass these things through. It's going to be very important with the reconciliation bill to maybe hold it, because think about when we tried to get a good, responsible border bill. What did the Democrats do? And try to throw in there to get funding for in an emergency? Ukraine aid, Israel aid. And then what do? When you say, I'm not voting for that, I want to vote for the border, they go, Republicans won't vote to help people, Jews. They won't help, this, that, and the other. We can do the same thing with the same bills.
Well, Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, he's on the record as well, just talking about if you're going to look for federal funding, then you need to start doing the sort of actions that can at least prevent some of this stuff from happening. You can't control the wind and you can't control wildfires in terms of when they occur. What you can do is put in measures to contain them. And California refuses to do that. And so, for instance, you can't change what hurricanes roll into Florida. You can organize how the response is going to be. And from being there for a number of years, man, whenever you know a storm is coming, you have a person like Governor DeSantis out front telling people, here's what we're doing, here's how we're going to do it, here's the timing involved, here's what you need to be doing to prepare. That's just the nature of what you should be doing if you want federal funding.
And Los, this is not unprecedented. When the federal government gives money to cities and counties, gives money to schools and municipalities, it always comes with conditions.
Yes, always.
Every time. You must do this, whatever it is. I mean, it could be anything. You must do this to receive this federal funding. If you don't get it.
Well, it's like if we were to say that Joe Virgin River or Joe Wayne Virgin River.
That's right.
Let's say he had a drug problem. Does it help him for me to give him $20? No, because I know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to go use it for drugs.
Yeah.
You're telling the state of California, I need you to get clean before I give you this money because I know what I'm burning it.
Yeah.
I know where it's going.
Yeah, I know where it's going. It's not going to cleaning the underbrush. It's not going to, making sure that the reservoirs are full or that we have water flowing into a desert so that they don't have these problems. Gavin Newsom has no control over anything that's going on in the state. And you know what? He should. Now, he shouldn't have control of the wind. I understand that. He shouldn't have to have control of these arsonists lighting the fires. And when we find out who they are, maybe he will have control because maybe they're not supposed to be here legally. Maybe they're gang members. Who knows? We'll find out more information because they're keeping it very, very quiet, by the way. 14 people arrested. So maybe there is. But there is one thing you can do. Say, hey, I'm not going to give you funding when you continually waste money and move it to something else like drug paraphernalia for people who are overdosing or using it for homeless needs that aren't really needed rather than the things that homeless actually do need and the Veterans Association and those things. We have to really be stingy with money right now, especially since we're in a deficit. And the state is, too, by the way, $85 billion in deficit.
Do you find it as interesting as I do ironic maybe when people like Julia Roberts, who is a crazy lefty loony.
Horse face.
I think she's beautiful. I know what you mean, but I think she's beautiful.
I'm on board with you.
Yeah. Here from Smyrna.
Well, horses are beautiful too, though.
Yes, they are.
Don't backtrack on that. You stick to that. You wear that one, dude.
That's fine. She's got a horse face.
Right. But from here.
Now he's deliberate.
The
Talk about the flip-flopper in the room.
Well, I'm saying horses can be beautiful. Doesn't mean I'm going to make out with one either.
Okay. All right. Julia Roberts all of a sudden has gone from, ultra liberal to telling people who are looting, and many of them not supposed to be here. She's fought to protect the people that are not supposed to be here. But when it affects her and people like her, all of a sudden, she's like, F those people. They can just F right off. Like, where were you when everyday Californians were dealing with that crime? I know you live in the gated community and in that little bubble that you don't have to deal with it. When you do, you flip-flop.
At some point, we're going to have at least the honest discussion of it's not climate change. Yes, it is bad management, bad political ownership of what's going on. But at the same time, you have arsonists and you have looters.
Yeah.
And they're all over the place right now there.
Well,
it's like, but we won't talk about this as far as like these fires are being set by crazy people who've just decided, let's just watch the world burn.
I would ask Julia Roberts this. How do you expect these looters, these people, to be able to comprehend the fact that for years they've been told you're allowed to steal up to $950 from anybody else or more, and you support that.
You voted for it.
And now you're telling them they can't in burning houses, that people aren't going to be able to recover their things.
Which is going to be gone anyway.
Yeah, so understand the looter's mind. You've allowed us to run the streets in stores in non-emergencies and steal whatever we want. Now you're telling me when people leave their homes and leave their stuff, I can't take it? It makes no sense to me. This is what you've done to your state. This is what you've done to your cities. This is what you voted for. Shut up, sorry, or change the way that you're voting.
So the fire's coming, right? And let's say the house is, it's a $20, $25 million home. If you don't got a lot, why wouldn't you go get it? Because that dude's going to end up getting everything replaced anyway.
Right.
And so, yes, it's wild that we're basically dealing with like this Mad Max scenario of you just have people that if they can take it, they're taking it right now. It's barbarianism. It's barbarism. And yet, the only thing that you have the other side basically talking about is, well, it's climate change. Well, climate change caused barbarism in what? The number 2 city in the entire country outside of New York?
Yeah, no, you've caused this. You know what? You've said so many times, pay your fair share. You're so rich. You should give to everybody else. You should never want for more than you need. And then looters go, well, look at this mansion that's burning down. They shouldn't want for more than they need. Let me go grab a few of these things to make my family more comfortable. That's what some of these looters might be thinking. I'm totally against looting, by the way. I think it's disgusting. And like Brendan Judd in Florida, if they loot, you shoot. But the reality of it is you bred this. You made these people to feel invincible if they were to break the law and steal, knowing that they won't face any kind of consequences.
You encouraged it, but now you're getting it. I mean, it's like when they would send illegal migrants or people would come across the border illegally to those blue states and cities, and you saw the reaction. You saw the meltdown. They get what they asked for, and then they don't like it.
Well, the geo-tracking data is basically indicating that you have some of these people that are illegals and they are connected to the cartels and they're lighting these fires on purpose. Now, part of it is that when you have evacuation orders, people are leaving, and so now it's a free-for-all. Now I can go get their stuff. You know, they've been ordered to evacuate it out of the area. I'm not worried about busting into a home where there's somebody who's going to be there. In fact, the responsible people are like, oh, God, the firestorm's coming. I got to get out of here. Yeah. They leave with their family. I just go kick in the door and just take what I want.
Yeah.
It's going to burn up anyway.
It's lawless. Exactly. And it's going to burn up anyway, so I'm victimless crime. We're good here.
Yeah. I mean, in our state, we're allowed to poop on the street. We're allowed to do drugs wherever we want. In fact, they even give us the tools to do the drugs. They let us steal. They tell us we have a limit of what we're able to steal. Yeah. They keep telling us we shouldn't want for more and we need help. So, yeah, I'm going to go get my own help. They're not helping me. I mean, the mindset is there. You've groomed this in these people. People are going to break the law anyway and steal and loot loot and do that. I understand that. But some people might take advantage.
Tug, I think that you are on the cutting edge of a mentality change, because Megyn Kelly, when she was on her podcast yesterday, she brought up how she has a very woke friend. And she's like, we just don't talk politics. That's why we're good. She's like, her woke friend is basically telling her, I'm voting Republican moving forward.
Yeah.
She's like, basically like me and the other woke, we're voting Republican moving forward, not because they subscribe to what we talk about on an everyday basis or all of it. They just know that they have been completely let down by a system that they firmly believed was going to be there to help. They thought they were the good guys, and then they found out, no, you're being left alone.
Yeah, Tug was all over this right away, and he's absolutely right. When you look back, you're going to get back to maybe more of a Reagan-like California, a Schwarzenegger. You know, Schwarzenegger was kind of like a, well, I'm the
Republican light, kind of like a hybrid.
He's the hybrid. He's the but he's the establishment. That's what he is. More than anything else, he represents the establishment. I expect them to get more establishment-like. I don't think they're going to be the Trumpers that we'd like to be in there, but I think you're going to get more of a right-leaning Republican rhino to come in California. But that's the first step. If they can get in there and start running that state the way it should be, the most beautiful state, one of the most beautiful states in the world, this is something that we need to fix right away.
8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is their website. One of the few second-generation, locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. When we continue, the man who introduced the fair tax bill joins the show next on Xtra 106.3.
Attention Warriors, are you a veteran ready to navigate to success after service? Tune in to the Warrior Alliance Network. Join us as we spotlight inspiring stories, provide essential resources, and connect you with a community dedicated to empowering veterans. From career advice to health and wellness tips, the Warrior Alliance Network is your go-to hub for post-service success. Tune in Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. on Xtra 106.3. Join us on the mission, the Warrior Alliance Network, where warriors thrive together. Visit us at thewarrioralliance.org for more information.
When it comes to your home, hey, it's Tug for Southern Exteriors. They got you covered. Roofing, siding, gutters, windows, anything on the outside of your home, they do it all, but they do it with expertise. They do it with the knowledge that this is the most important place in your life. It's your most valuable asset. It's where you make your memories. It's where you raise your kids. They understand what home means. They've been servicing Atlanta and the southeastern United States, for that matter, for over 20 years. They're the go-to for homeowners. And now, if you want to do a new roof, maybe you've been seeing that tiny little spot anytime it rains, just gets the tiniest bit damp, or maybe it's a bigger spot that you know needs to be taken care of anyway. It needs to be done. They can repair your roof or they can replace it. They can repair your siding or they can replace it. They can get you new gutters, or they can just add gutter toppers to the ones that you have. New windows, new energy-efficient windows. They can do all of that. If it's on the outside of the home, they can do it. Now, they're offering 0% financing to start the year for 12 months. 0% financing, or if you want, you can choose 10% off any job that you do with Southern Exteriors. Do not wait. Call them 877-9-SOUTHERN or southernexteriors.co. You can learn more about them there on the website. Again, 877-9-SOUTHERN or southernexteriors.co.
Election season is here, and regardless of which side of the aisle you're on, we can all experience the stress of uncertainty. Fear of the unknown can cause us to postpone important decisions that impact our lives, especially in retirement planning. Resist hesitation and contact Masterplan Retirement Consultants, a holistic retirement planning firm dedicated to creating a retirement plan to help with all of life's surprises. Through income planning and money management, legacy planning, and tax planning, we create a plan specifically designed for your life to see you to and through retirement. Don't leave your retirement up to chance. Create a plan for your retirement and pursue peace of mind. Visit masterplanretire.com. Masterplan Retirement Consultants. Plan well and prosper.
Advisory services offered through Masterplan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Masterplan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
No one plans on going to jail jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. At A Second Chance Bail Bonds, we believe everyone deserves a second chance. We handle bonds from local to federal for any jail in any city. And in most cases, we can have you and your loved one out of jail in a matter of hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT. That's 404-BAIL-OUT. Or online at atlbail.com.
So, the doc says I have ED. ED. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's just an abbreviation for a condition so many men have. If I was to be honest, I probably also have a little OCD. I know I have a great HMO. Heck, I even have 3 weeks of PTO. Look, don't let a few letters get you down. If you have ED, there's HELP. Go see Dr. Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. He's an ED specialist that will turn your life around PDQ. ED happens to a lot of men as we age. And just FYI, Dr. Deal can give you back the confidence you need to perform on the JOB. So, ready to take the first step? Quit yelling WTF at your little BFF and visit tbtofga.com. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. They can fix your ED ASAP. And before you know it, you'll be screaming OMG.
I'm getting in the game. The world won't be the same. I'm good to go.
Call 404-777-1911 or visit tbtofga.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. South Fulton Mayor Khalid Kamu, who was arrested in July 2023 for trespassing and burglary, finds himself in trouble again. Residents and at least one council member of South Fulton have called for an investigation into the mayor's mishandling of city funds. Councilwoman Helen Willis says that Mayor Khalid made unauthorized purchases using a city-issued purchase card that exceeded $26,000. Willis also claims that the mayor took a trip to Africa among these unauthorized purchases. Mayor Khalid has refused to comment. DeKalb County police officers are investigating the shooting of a 25-year-old man at a gas station off Wesley Chapel Road near Interstate 20. Police were called to the scene and found the victim had been shot multiple times. He was quickly transported to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Police have not named the victim or identified any suspects. The case is currently under investigation. And in other news, Atlanta Police Chief Darren Schauerbaum announced that as the city prepares for the influx of people for Monday night's college football national championship, they are ready but need public cooperation. Chief Schauerbaum stated, "If you see something, say something." He urged residents to report any suspicious vehicles, individuals, or packages by calling 911 or flagging down a uniformed officer. The chief also said that the Atlanta Police Department is working in conjunction with the Georgia State Patrol, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security to ensure safety. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Xtra 1063.
Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra, and our guest is Buddy Carter, U.S. Representative from Georgia's 1st Congressional District. Good morning, Mr. Carter. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. I wish I were in Georgia, but I'm up here. It's pretty cold up here, I tell you. And it's when it gets this cold, it's tough on the South Georgia boys.
Yes, sir. I understand that.
It's not very warm here either, buddy.
Yeah, it's not real warm here either. Rhino's right about that. We can talk about so many things with you. Fair tax, protection of women and girls in sports act. But I want to start with what happened over on the Senate side with Pete Hegseth. What was your impression? Was it as glowing as we seem to think it was on this show?
I certainly thought it went exceptionally well. I thought that he handled himself well. He was ready, and I think he got Republicans. I was really pleased at some of the female senators, Republican senators, who seemed to accept his answers and seemed to be very receptive to what he had to say. So I feel real good about this. I'll tell you, there was a point where I didn't think he stood a chance, but I think that the effort that has been put forth by the president and the administration, the team, has paid off, and I think he's going to get confirmed.
You know, one thing I learned from that, buddy, was that Democrats are only going to do one thing, and that's not actually work. They're going to play this virtue game. They're going to signal and make things that aren't real. The anonymous sources, this. Does that make you think how hard it's going to be to work in the House and getting any bipartisan things done to make America first again? Do you think this will also affect the Senate, the way that Democrats are refusing to work and just want to play these games?
Well, it's certainly going to have an impact on it. There's no question about that. And an example would been yesterday. How can you vote against a bill that is going to prohibit men from participating in women's sports? You know, I am blessed with 6 granddaughters, and I want them to be active, and I want them to participate, but I don't want them competing against males, biological males. How could they possibly vote against it? I believe that we had 2 Democrats who voted with us, so we can say it was bipartisan. But at the same time, everybody should have voted for that. It just makes sense. And that's the kind of thing that I just don't comprehend sometimes with the other side. And I know that we're not perfect on our side. We have our faults as well. But at the same time, that to me is black and white. I mean, that's as clear as you can get.
Congressman Buddy Carter is our guest on the Morning Extra, and I will tell you, sir, I have 2 daughters as well. They are both in athletics, both volleyball players. And to think that there's a faction of the country that looks at gender as being fluid. To me, it's almost like this cult mindset where you could only get 2 Democrats that are willing to say, I'm stepping outside of the cult, and whatever the repercussions are going to be is what they're going to be. How weird is that to have to try and legislate knowing that one side has a cultish-like belief in things that are really out there?
Well, it's very difficult. It makes it very difficult to pass common sense legislation, and it does create quite a challenge sometimes, because you know that we don't have any room to lose votes. We've got the slimmest majority you can possibly have, and right now we've got a majority of 3. We're going to go down to 1 as soon as we lose Mike Walsh and Elise Stefanik. We'll go down to 1. We'll have, and that's the least majority that you can have. Now we'll fill those 2 seats pretty quickly and be back up to where we're at now, and eventually get up to 4. But still, it's such a tight majority, and there are always little quirks with people, and you never know how many votes you're going to lose.
Buddy Carter is our guest on the Morning Extra. Tug, Rhino, and Los. Passing in the House the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act was fantastic, and I think most Americans support that. I mean, the polling would show you that. The election in November would show you that. Do you expect that the senators from Georgia, Ossoff and Warnock, will have the same courage to vote with a bill that makes sense and that Americans support in the Senate?
Well, I certainly hope they will, and they have indicated that they are going to. So by virtue of how they voted to allow it to go to the floor, I hope that they are going to vote for it, and they should. And not only that, but we've also got the Lake and Riley Act. And I was very proud of the fact that the first bill passed in the 119th Congress, this Congress, by the House of Representatives, was the Lake and Riley Act. And I think it says something about the fact that immigration is such a big, illegal immigration is such a big subject matter that even Democrats get now. They recognize that they were wrong during the past term, and that it paid, it cost them at the ballot box. So now they've come along. We had a number of people who voted for it, a number of Democrats, and I hope that our 2 senators will vote for the Lake and Riley Act. I hope that they will vote for the Women in Sports Act as well. They, again, common sense that I think Georgians demand and Georgians want.
Buddy Carter joining us here on the Morning Extra. And I promise we're going to get to the fair tax bill that you pushed through, but I do want to ask you about working with these Democrats again and talking about this slim majority and what you have. Is there any thought about using what the Democrats have done so long, which is kind of hijacking a bill and saying, hey, you're not going to get this funding? They did it with the border bill, saying, well, we'll only give you a border if you fund Ukraine and Israel. Can we do the same thing with the relief for Los Angeles when it comes to the reconciliation bill? Do you think that's something Mike Johnson should do, or do you think he should move the debt limit increase out of the reconciliation package?
Well, that's going to be a key, and we've talked about that, and we will continue to talk about that. We've got time reconciliation and how we're going to handle it. Which is the best way to handle it? Should we, first of all, let's make sure we understand that there is a big difference in the disaster disaster relief that we got for Hurricane Helene. That's a natural disaster that cannot be helped. And what happened in California, granted, and wildfires are natural disasters as well, but they were not prepared. And there needs to be stipulations that if we're going to send them money, they need to do a better job with their water. They need to do a better job with their forest. And we've got to have those types of guarantees from them and those types of agreements that they're going to do a better job in the future. President Trump's made it clear that they were not prepared and they should be held responsible. I get it, and yes, I will. I want to support them and make sure, and God bless those people who have lost everything. But at the same time, the government, and listen, the mayor of L.A., Karen Bass, she served with us here in Congress. I know her. And I will tell you, she ain't got a clue. And it's pretty obvious the way that they run things out there.
She's an activist.
Congressman Buddy Carter is our guest right here on the Morning Extra. All right, I do want to bring this up because I'm glad that the fair tax shows up every few years and it gets reintroduced into society and people learn about it and recognize that it would be the dissolution of a lot of power that's held by Washington, D.C. What was your motivations with bringing this up once again and having the public re-examine it?
Well, again, we've been talking about common sense. This is common sense. It's fair. It's simple. I'm a disciple of Henry David Thoreau. Simplify, simplify, simplify. This is nothing more than consumption tax, and this gives taxpayers the opportunity to control their own fate. It does away with the IRS. You don't need to have a tax code. You don't need to have IRS agents. If you don't want to pay tax, don't buy something. If you want to buy something, you're going to pay tax on it, and it is simply a consumption tax. People don't like taxes, period. I get it. But given the choice between a property tax, between an income tax, and between a consumption tax, they would prefer a consumption tax. And it's more fair because everybody pays it. And let's make sure we understand, because I hear people say all the time, the rich people, they're not going to pay as much. No. Wait a minute now. If you're rich, you're going to buy a yacht. And the taxes on a yacht are a lot more than the taxes on what I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy a John boat. And John boat taxes aren't going to be that high. So it is fair and it is simple. And it does away with the IRS. There was a poll that was done in 2016 that said that 27% of taxpayers would be willing to get IRS tattooed on their shoulder if we did away with the IRS.
I would consider it.
I'll do it. I'll put it wherever you want. Put it on my forehead.
And I don't even have a tattoo, and I'd consider it.
Yeah.
But it is ridiculous. I was talking to a CPA the other day, and he was just complaining about the fact that they had his firm had to hire a service to hold on the telephone for the IRS. They have a service that when they call the IRS, that service holds for them and then notifies them, okay, we got an agent on the line for you.
It's unreal.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is unreal. U.S. Representative from Georgia's 1st District, Buddy Carter, on the Morning Extra, Tug, Rhino, and Front Office Los. As much as I want to see the fair tax enacted, there's just that part of me, Buddy, that knows that this gives power back to the American people. And there's not many people in Washington, D.C. that want to give that amount of power back to the American people and lose it themselves. This seems like a very tough uphill battle.
Well, it is, and it's been around a while, but my hope is that, perhaps we can incorporate it into our tax code and do away with some of the other taxes. I get it. I know that, we used to be a country of big ideas. Congress used to be about big ideas, and for whatever reason, we've missed that. But I would submit to you that this next administration is going to be about big ideas. I mean, all of a sudden, the president said no more tax on tips. All of a sudden, you've got two of the most successful businessmen in the world, Vivek Ramaswamy, and you've got Elon Musk, both of them. And now we've got DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and they're looking at things and they're making suggestions to us. Now, they're not going to have a whole lot of jurisdiction, a whole lot of authority. That's why I've joined the Doge caucus because they're going to be depending on us in Congress to codify these things, to codify their ideas and to follow through on their ideas. But there's going to be a lot of big ideas that are going to be coming out, and I hope that this will be one of them.
Now, how do you get Democrats to jump on board? Do you have any already? I mean, this is something that you can push as, hey, if we get a fair tax, now all of a sudden taxes become fair and equitable the way that you guys want. It also keeps the government out. You guys don't like taxes. This would be a tax cut for all of Americans. And I think what the most important part, when I was reading through the bill, and I thought it was a well-written bill, one of the most important parts to me is the death tax and the other taxes the federal government puts on because they want to attack farmers. They want to take land. I think this is a well-written, good bill that promotes fairness, promotes savings and investing, economic growth. Why can't Democrats get behind that?
Well, unfortunately, for whatever reason, they seem to have a different mindset than what we have. And I agree with you. I mean, again, it's fair, it's simple, it makes sense, but, they...
Uh-oh, they lost Buddy. Seems like we lost Buddy. You know what? And if we get him back, we'll say goodbye. But it's time to wrap up anyway. But the what I was going to respond to him when he was talking about Buddy, welcome back. Thank you so much. Just quickly, the reason they're not going to go along with it is they're not giving up power and money. That's the reason.
Well, you're exactly right, and that control by non-elected bureaucrats. If you work for the IRS, you weren't elected by the people, and that's what's so frustrating in Washington D.C. is that when you start peeling back the layers of that onion, it is so unbelievable.
No doubt about it, buddy. Thank you, man. We do appreciate the work that you're doing and the fact that you're willing to get out there and be a voice of the American people and the folks from South Georgia. Thank you so much, buddy. We hope you have the best day, and we hope you get home to Georgia and get warm real soon. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's doing some good things right now, and they're looking for cuts. He's the chair of the Energy and Commerce Health Subcommittee. Yesterday, they discussed how they're going to move forward, finding billions of dollars that they can cut with changes to Medicaid and then changes to the pharmacy benefit managers. And we got to give Buddy credit. He went after them, showing that they're making money off of sick patients and went after them. Those are the kind of cuts we need.
Yeah, it is. And Los, we say it all the time, man. About 80% of the time we can agree with them, but that 20 is going to be a vehement disagreement. Same with Brian Kemp, same with a lot of politicians.
Well, again, I appreciate the honesty in that within his own party, he's told, you can't discuss cutting any of this stuff.
What are you
doing? We
doing?
can't win elections if we're talking about cutting this stuff.
But you have to put it to the voters. The Democrats need to hear the truth about the fair tax, and they need to be able to call their senators and their House members and say, hold on, this does help all of us.
8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. Second generation, locally owned HVAC company. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is their website. Pete Hegseth made one thing perfectly clear yesterday. In our military, there is one thing that matters. We'll tell you what that is next on The Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Hawks beat the Suns last night, 122-117, on the back of a 43-point game from Trae Young with 22 points and 21 boards from Onyeka Okongwu. Another basketball team in Georgia has been playing even better, though. UGA is a 23rd ranked team in the country with a 14-2 record and are coming off impressive wins against Oklahoma and 8th-ranked Kentucky. Georgia has a tough road ahead, though. For tonight, they play 6th-ranked Tennessee, then the best team in the country in Auburn on Saturday. In February, the Dogs then play 4 more top 25 teams. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Front Office Los. Let's talk about Toro and Howard Brothers. Talk about spring prep. I know, it's cold. You're not really thinking about it as of now, but this is when you should be thinking about getting ready for the spring. This is when the equipment is going to be available to you. Are you ready to tackle that lawn when it gets to cutting season? Hopefully so. Hopefully you've gotten your stuff taken care of. Well, get ahead of the game with Toro and with Howard Brothers. Now is the perfect time to prepare for spring with the trusted performance of Toro. Toro mowers are are built to handle Georgia's toughest lawns with precision and durability on your side. So what do? You head over to your local Howard Brothers and you find the exact Toro mower to make your spring lawn care work a breeze. A lot of people at Howard Brothers have been there for 10, 20, 30 years. They have expertise in all of the equipment. They can help guide you in the right direction. The grass is always greener when you take care of it with Toro and with Howard Brothers.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. When times get tough, where do you keep your stuff? Answer, in a quality safe from the Safe House, of course. Don't go to a big box store and get a fake safe. That would be as effective as Joe Biden's fake border policy. For over 30 years, the Safe House has been providing the best quality safes on the market. Brands like Browning, Fort Knox, and Champion. And with the largest selection of safes on display in Georgia, we're confident we can help you pick the right safe to fit your needs. So drop by our huge showroom or go to AtlantaSafehouse.com.
You have enough to deal with after an accident. You don't want to spend a lot of that time messing around with insurance companies. Besides, what are you going to say to him? You really know the ins and outs? David Van Sant at Van Sant Law does. He used to work for the insurance companies. Their worst nightmare. He knows who to call, what to say, how to listen to him, and he has your best interest at heart. Van Sant Law, 855-GA-INJURY. VanSantLaw.com, 855-GA-INJURY.
60% off for 6 hours. Store-wide sale this Saturday at D. Geller & Son, Acres Mill. This is Jonathan Geller at D. Geller & Son Jewelers, and that's right, this Saturday at our Acres Mill location only, we're running 60% off the store for 6 hours. This is an incredible time to shop ahead for Valentine's Day, take care of all this year's big birthdays and anniversaries, or come shop just because. Deals like this never come around at D. Geller & Son. In fact, don't tell my dad we're doing it. This means everything in the store, from gold chains to tennis bracelets, diamond studs to birthstone necklaces, is all 60% off. 2-carat diamond in-and-out hoops were $12.99, now $5.19. Diamond and sapphire anniversary rings were $6.69, now $2.67. Even a 6.3-carat tennis necklace was $41.99, now $16.79. Why? Because we're moving everything from the Acres Mill store into our Sandy Springs and Kennesaw stores to serve you better in 2025. That's this Saturday at D. Geller & Son Acres Mill, 2955 Cobb Parkway. Learn more at dgeller.com. Branded designer jewelry and tagged showcases excluded.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Georgia Tech men's basketball single game tickets are now on sale. After home wins over Duke and North Carolina last year, head coach Damon Stoudemire and the Yellow Jackets are set to take flight and swarm the ACC once again. Kelly strides up the right sideline, sets up Coleman into the right corner. Reeves a three, good! And that was with a hand in his face. Don't miss a moment of the action in the Thriller Dome this year by getting your tickets today at RamlinRec.com/tickets. Sting 'em.
Did you know that January is named after the Roman god Janus, protector of gates and doors? Well, we can help you protect your Mercedes-Benz's gates and doors, keep your vehicle running in tip-top shape, plus provide you with the convenience of our pickup and delivery service, all from RBM of Atlanta and Sandy Springs. With the hustle and bustle of the holiday season behind us, it's time to take a breather. Meet our Mercedes-Benz pickup and delivery service. It gives you back time and money. Does your Mercedes-Benz need service? If so, we'll pick up your vehicle that's requiring service from your home or office and bring it back to our dealership for those services. Once services have been completed, we'll bring your Mercedes-Benz back to you. With over 100 appointment times available every weekday, over 50 appointments on Saturdays, and more than 200 courtesy vehicles in our fleet, we're here to serve. We'll work around your schedule. We're here to save you time, energy, and money. We're proud to be Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964. Pickup and delivery service restrictions do apply. Ask your service coordinator or service advisor at RBM of Atlanta for details.
The Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Glenn Beck until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And The Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Standards matter. That's the reason there's such a thing as testing, right? You want to know that your students have met the standards of the class, that they've met the standard of understanding, which is the reason for taking the class. Standards matter. On the football field, have some sort of standards. You got a guy like me out there, just getting run over, can't catch the football, slow as Christmas.
Yeah,
it's because there needs to be a standard.
Really? That works out well, yeah. Now starting at center for the Atlanta Hawks, 5'4", 185 pounds, Scott Rhino. It makes no sense. Who wants a 5'4" fat Jewish Italian center for their basketball teams? I don't fit the standards. It's okay. I'm not insulted by it. I found something else I can do, run my mouth.
I proudly served in the United States Navy, but I was not a Navy SEAL. It was really simple.
Well, that makes you a weenie, right?
Yeah, you're kind of a weenie.
Because you're not a SEAL.
Because I'm not a Navy SEAL. I knew I wasn't going to meet the standards. I knew 10 dudes. And of the 10, there's probably 3. I was like, that dude's going to make it.
That guy's the one.
Yeah.
Dinga, 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 ding.
You know.
All 10 of them.
All washed out.
Even the ones that I thought, because they did everything right. They ate right. They worked out every day. They went by the Navy SEAL training manuals to do the exercises that the Navy SEAls do. I was like,
well, what about a fighter pilot?
Those dudes, yes, them too. Those dudes are going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And they all heard the same bell ring because they didn't meet the standards. One of them, buddy named Marty from Ohio, huge Ohio State fan. They had to cut his boots off of him at Bud's.
Yeah.
Because he had so many broken bones in his feet. They were so swollen. They cut his combat boots off of him.
Wimp.
That is the standard that I couldn't meet, and the guy that I thought could meet it, who didn't. Yeah. And that's not to slap at him, because me and Marty are good buddies. He was like, dude, it was like nothing I've ever experienced.
If I twisted my ankle, I'd be out.
That is the reason there are standards. Dude, if you want to go to Harvard, well, I mean, these days, maybe that's not a good example. Let me go. Rewind that one.
But is it
Georgia Tech? Let's say you go to Georgia Tech.
But shouldn't there be a place in this world for when you're elite at something, you get elite access? Yes. It seems like that has become somehow gross that, well, these are the only people that get access to this. Well, there should be. Yes. There should be an elite level where, and a lot of times, especially when it comes to the Navy SEALs, so much of it is mentally elite. Mm-hmm. How do you handle constant degradation and pain and suffering and then still continue the mission? It's a mental game is what you're playing there.
Yeah, and I think it's very important to have different standards for different positions, which I thought was brought up really well yesterday throughout. There are certain things that, Tug, you may have been better at than some of the people going into the Navy SEALs or being fighter pilots. That might have been, hey, Tug is really good at this. I don't know what it would have been, but maybe you were swabbing the deck.
Well,
you're the best.
Well, you're cleaning toilets.
Cleaning toilets.
You've brought up the tracking system you would work on.
Yeah.
And how that's not something that everyone gets a chance to do, but you can handle it because when it came to this responsibility, you showed yourself to be better than other people. It wasn't just a job for anyone.
No, that's right. And let me tell you, there were guys that were in the room that were even much better at it than I was. You know, I crept by the standards, and there was dudes in there that knew it inside and out. They knew it back and forth. And that's what...
Wow, you're just mediocre all over then,
all over the place.
Is that what you're trying to tell us?
All the time, yes. That's exactly what I'm trying to tell you.
But you're great at being that.
I'm the best mediocre guy you've ever met.
Yeah.
Awesome at mediocre.
Me too. Dude, I embrace it.
Think about it, because this is what Pete Hegseth wants to reintroduce to our military. And I'm fully in favor of it. Standards. Women in combat, if you meet the standard, here's the standard. If you meet it, you're in. That's as simple as that. That's all we're looking for. Vegas has standards. You know more about gambling, way more about gambling. I've only been to Vegas one time. You know those high roller rooms? Is there a standard to get in there? Do you have to show that
you have to play?
Yeah, you have to prove that you can get into that or can afford.
I got $20 in my pocket.
That don't work.
Vegas is built in a large part on whales, where we're bringing this person in, they're planning on playing, they're coming in from Saudi Arabia and they're playing $20 million this weekend.
Good Lord.
That's how they get access to this. But again, the standard is, in order to get this access, this is what you got to play.
Because you and I roll up in there, they're going to laugh us out of the room.
No, we might get a breakfast out of it.
Maybe.
I get a voucher for a breakfast.
They probably kick you out and give you a breakfast for being so broke.
Yeah,
they're like, this dude can't even afford.
You know what? We're going to comp all 3 meals for you today.
I go to Mississippi hoping that I get on a run so that somebody's like, we're going to comp him a little bit of dinner. Like, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, see, I'm that, I'm that typical guy that goes in and is like, yeah, I'll play like a $5 table for like, I don't know, 5 hands, but I'm at least going to get 3 drinks out of it in that time.
Right. Which, I mean, in the way you're looking at
free
it,
cigarettes.
if you were to pay for that anyway, it would probably cost the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
If you went and paid for. So you might as well have fun.
Yeah.
And you spend the same amount of money. Standards matter. And that's the thing that I think that Pete Hegseth's most important his most important job as the new Secretary of Defense, when he is confirmed, and he will be, when he's confirmed, that is the most important thing. Make the standard high again in our military, so our military is lethal again, because it is not right now.
I think everybody should have to do 47 push-ups every single day.
That's right, yeah.
But no, and I thought he brought it up in a really well and thought-out manner in the fact that, hey, there are some women that are going to be in combat that we need because it is good to have them go in, and some of them are translators or do things that we need them to do. That's kind of a combat role that the standards fit. If the woman or man or gay or whatever they are that are in the military can pass and say, hey, here's a 250-pound dummy. You got to carry this from here to here, and they can do it, then you pass that standard. If you can't do it, we don't go, you know what, though, she's a female, so let her carry a 150-pound man. Like there's a 150-pound man on the battlefield. You can't change those standards. Everybody meets the same standards, then you're more than welcome to be on the front lines.
I guess standards come across as being old school.
Which is a good thing, yes, me.
Because you end up waiving standards in the interest of checking equity boxes. I'm tired of checking equity boxes. Let's not do this. Let's have quality people doing quality work.
Not everybody's getting a ribbon.
Yeah.
Not everybody's getting a trophy. We've done that for the last 20 or 30 years. And that's led us to where we are
and
now.
It's not sexist either, because you know what? I'm a man. I can't carry a 100-pound round of ammunition either, nor would I want to.
That's right. That's exactly right. Standards matter, and they will be returning in 5 days. Think about that. That should put a smile on your face. If nothing else, put a smile on your face this morning. That accountability and standards are coming back to the United States of America in 5 days. When we continue on Extra 106.3, geriatric politicians stood no chance against a U.S. weekend anchor, a Fox weekend anchor.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
To say a person is ignorant means that they haven't yet learned. To say that they're stupid means that they are incapable of learning. Yes, there are stupid people around, but they can be very entertaining. I mean, there are people that listen to Alex Jones and believe what he says. But for pure, unadulterated entertainment based on stupidity, you can't beat the Flurfs. That's spelled F-L-E-R-F-S. These are people who believe, who are convinced that the earth is flat. No, I'm not kidding. And I've spent some time on the Facebook pages dedicated to this nonsense. You want some details? The earth is flat. The sun is only about 4,000 miles away. The earth is covered by a huge dome put there by God to keep the atmosphere in so that we can breathe. And why doesn't the water just run off? Well, because the flat earth is surrounded by an ice wall, an impenetrable ice wall that's protected apparently by military force. And for the most part, the Flurfs back all of this up with Bible scripture, references to something called the firmament, or firmament, I don't know what. And they're serious. Here are some Facebook pages you might want to check out. The Flat Earth Group, Flat Earth Discussions, Flat Earth Society. Pictures of a round globe Earth, they're all faked by NASA. The moon landing, that was faked. I mean, the moon really is closer than the sun, and that means closer than 4,000 miles. These Flat Earth Facebook pages are worth the entertainment value, but don't stay around too long. Your brain will rot. Or if you're a Democrat, it will rot even more. Neil Bortz, Xtra 106.3.
This is Atlanta's new home for Fox News, Xtra 106.3 FM.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
It's here. It's called winter. Is your furnace ready to make sure you're warm inside and you keep the cold weather outside? Well, if you're not sure, you need to talk to the folks at Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Central Heating and Air is one of the few second-generation locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. With Central, you're not just a number, you're a member of the family. It's been that way since 1947, and it's still that way today. Give Central a call at 770-GET-HEAT or go to centralheat.com. Central Heating and Air Conditioning can fix what ails your house and possibly your family with home ventilation and air quality products. Central has packages designed around health using variable speed, fresh air ventilation, air purifiers, dehumidifiers, and more. Carrier products, carrier warranty, carrier peace of mind. Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert since 1947. Call 770-GET-HEAT or go to centralheat.com. That's 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
We're smart, we care. We're Central Heating and Air.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
They hope to implement the Trump agenda. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 6 more. The president-elect's nominees have confirmation hearings today. First up this hour is pick for Attorney General Pam Bondi. Then, Secretary of State nominee Senator Marco Rubio and John Ratcliffe, who's in line to lead the CIA.
As the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, I'll preside over John's hearing this morning.
Republican Senator Tom Cotton tells Fox.
He's been the director of national intelligence. He and I agree that the CIA is vital for our country, but we have to get it back to its roots. It's simply not doing a good enough job collecting intelligence about our adversaries around the world.
Also today, confirmation hearings for Trump's nominees to lead the Energy and Transportation Departments in the Office of Management and Budget. Tonight, 5 days before he leaves office, President Biden will talk to us on TV, 8 p.m. Eastern. After Fox's Peter Ducey reports from the White House, they released
a letter from President Biden. It's not addressed to anyone, but it's written in his voice with things like this. It has been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania and Claymont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States.
There are a lot of nervous people in the Los Angeles area fearing wildfire flames will spread.
The National Weather Service calling this a PDS, a particularly dangerous situation with winds between 45 to 70 miles per hour. There are a lot of firefighters on the ground right now, about 15,000 fire personnel from across the western U.S. as well as Canada and Mexico.
Fox Business's Max Gordon surrounded by wildfire ruins in Malibu. More than 12,000 houses and buildings have burned, 24 deaths confirmed. We just got an inflation update for consumer prices that are rising.
0.4% month to month on the headline CPI. The street was looking for 0.3.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni also reports the annual rate of inflation also rose back up again.
2.9% year over year. That is higher than a month ago.
America's listening to Fox.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Align your business with other like-minded conservatives by advertising on Xtra 1063. Email sales at xtra1063.com.
Tug Rider with Lowe's on the Morning Extra, singing along with some Ram Jam this morning. How could that not help you?
I'm ready to go.
How could that not start your 9 o'clock hour, make you ready to run through a stinking wall and take everybody with you on your back and on your shoulders like Pete Hegseth?
Yeah! I feel like running
on.
through a crowd and knocking pink hats off people's heads.
Liable to get to do it.
Maybe on Jan 20?
Yes, sir.
You hit the post and I walked right over.
All right, man. All right.
I got really good at that at one point. I was always like, you have to know music to hit that post like that every time like you do. You're amazing. I've known some people, downtown Billy Brown at Star 94, he would like work with me on it.
Okay.
And he'd be like, you just have to know these songs. And when you work for Top 40, you know every song because you played them 100 times.
Exactly right.
I started nailing them. I was so happy.
Dude, it's
the greatest feeling in the world.
There's something that'll put a smile on your face for sure.
I do have a weird place in my brain from having worked over at 790, and that had Star 94 in the building.
Oh, yeah.
And then also having, worked with Cumulus and having, basically the Q100s of the world. And so, like, there's these points in my life, like, here's a 4-year period. Here's about, I guess we were in that building for, like, at least 5 or 6 years. Yeah. Where I knew every single top 40 song. Because they would play in heavy rotation and everything else.
The Star 94 thing would drive me insane.
I knew
when
every
I was
song.
working there. Cher's Believe was hot when I was working there. That played probably every 6 songs. Because what they do, the program directors, they'll put out how many times it plays per hour because of the numbers that they get. And you're just like, seriously? I'm going to be sick of this song in a week.
Heavy rotation is once every half hour typically. So to hear like the most popular song in America twice an hour was not a big deal. Because the radio listenership, when it comes to music, Tug, you know this.
In and out.
They're in and out. And so if you play a song at, let's say, I don't know, in our case, 9:05 in the morning, to bring it back at 9:45, the chances of somebody having still been there is low. That's why you would hear the same songs over and over and over and over and over.
Because everybody sits with their finger on the radio button, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're streaming music on the skip button.
Unless you're listening to Extra.
Unless you're listening to us.
That's right. Then people do hang around.
We have a long time spent listening, so thank y'all.
Yes, people do hang around for that.
We
love you.
We get podcast numbers in terms of time spent listening. Like, people listen to this station for a really long time. And I think it's because of Joe.
Well,
he's just entertaining.
Joe
he plays
Wayne,
the right
sir.
music.
Joe
he
Wayne.
keeps it low. Joe Wayne. Yeah, sorry, Joe Wayne.
God.
Virgin River.
I know it is. Those numbers jumped up as soon as I got here.
That's right.
You're not wrong about that.
Joe Wayne joined, and suddenly everything took off.
We'll triple them when you leave.
Oh, my goodness.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
We shall see. We shall see.
But thank y'all. And so that's heavy rotation. But I'm right there with Rhino. Q100, Star 94. I knew every pop song from, 04 to 08. And then I think 2010 to, we came over here like in 2016, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
And so 2010 to 2016, if it was on Q100, I knew every word of that song.
What's one that stands out from that time period that you just, even to this day, you're like, yep, I got it.
Moves like Jagger.
Yeah,
oh my God.
5. They even played our Christmas party, if you remember.
Ed McCain was another one that, what was that song he had? I'll Be played every 27 minutes, and then Cher Believe right after that.
Yeah.
And I had, at that point, I'm working for Star 94, so the little office had a speaker right above my head that I could not change or turn down or anything.
They would play it on the overhead.
Oh,
Do you
so
think
bad.
one day that we, the Morning Extra and Extra 106.3, could graduate to being on the overhead in the office part our building.
Let's just be very clear about
Do you know how
this.
quick they change it? So we have a button, so people know we have a button out there that you could press and it'll change the station to ours. I do it almost every day, and within 2 minutes, one of the sales guys walks by and presses 680 again.
Our station was on the overhead, like mandated, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And within about 3 weeks, they wouldn't do it anymore because it would cause contention in the office.
That's because someone has a Biden tattoo.
Somebody would get upset over something that was said, and now, because, okay, here's the problem. If you were to look into, let's say, I don't know, your taxes or your administration or your school board or your vaccination schedule as hard as you looked at your starting quarterback in the NFL, you'd probably be better off.
Yes.
But it's easier to get upset about your starting quarterback in the NFL than to stuff that actually affects your life.
Neil Bortz brings that up occasionally, right? And I think he goes in a little bit.
He looks at it as like dumb jocks.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the wrong way to look at it because sports are great. They're entertainment, but even more than that, it's activity, keeping kids active, and if you go on to be a college player, pro player, that's great.
And let me tell you who makes the most amount of money in society. Sports viewers 25 to 54.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's the thing that I think he misses, but he's right in the fact that if people, and you just reiterated it right there, if people paid as much attention to what was happening with their government and how it affected them as they did the starting quarterback at Georgia, then they'd probably be in better shape.
Let me just tell Neil something. I'm going to learn you something right now. Had you done sports, you'd have had 3 buses.
That's right.
2 planes.
With the ability that
and
he
a
had.
yacht.
Yeah.
Wow.
With the ability that he had and the coverage that he had.
Exactly.
Because how many, do y'all remember how many stations? I know he said it a few times.
He's 50 plus, yeah. I think I might have read it. Might have gotten up to like 75. But he was
70,
syndicated all over the place,
Yeah, it was a bunch. It was a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
that's why we say
Los
he's a
is right.
great Neil Bortz.
But Los is right, though. Had he been in sports, the way he is able to shake people and jar people and draw them off sides, good Lord.
Look,
he would have been...
Our friend Kincaid, John Kincaid,
Yes.
he did it so well.
Yeah,
so well, he would draw people off sides.
But that's the thing.
Including me, and I've known him for like 30 years.
Dude, he just sucked me into some sort of discussion. I was like, why? What? Okay, so that was the thing about our friend John Kincaid.
And he'd smile when he got you mad. I loved it.
So he works over in Philadelphia, and he does morning radio just like we do. And the thing that would make me crazy about John is that this was early on in the opioid crisis, where the NFL is basically filling up all their dudes with just so many drugs, and they're getting caught up in it. You know, we've already had the Brett Favre scenario from years before where he's like, listen, I'm on drugs. I had to go to rehab for it. And at that time, NFL players were like, I just want to use marijuana. I just want to use something that is a non-narcotic in order to deal with some of the pain I'm dealing with. And John would go on these rants about, these guys just want to get high. I'm like, do you know what kind of pain they're dealing with? It's like, so I dealt with a lot of areas of gray. He would draw me off sides.
Because life is very gray.
He would draw me off sides every single time. And I think now we've gotten to the point with the amount of older people I know that use different products in order to deal with some of the rigors of life, some of the pain, some of the getting older, that now he's probably come around. I just wish he'd come around 10, 12 years ago.
You think he's come around?
John Kincaid did.
I think he now understands. I know. Well, because the opioid crisis was so horrible in this country, he didn't realize it at the time how many people it was killing, and that you were basically giving people heroin in a pill.
No, that's right. All that's correct. I'd have to hear it for myself.
You know, one of the things that he came around on for years before he got over here, Jason Kofar, who, early on in this too. But
who's Jason Kofar?
Jason Kofar used to be our producer, one of the producers there on the Buck and Kincaid show. So before we got over here, he would tell me all the time about how stupid fantasy football is and how ridiculous it is. Then he comes over here, and then Kofar is playing it, and he's just, what are you, a loser, a nerd? Who plays fantasy football? You're not a man. All this stuff. And he became one of the biggest fantasy football players that I think I ever knew. Oh, yeah.
That's
so
funny.
I'd come in and be like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Well, this is where I'm going to get Neil into prize picks at some point.
Yeah.
Like, me and Neil are going to be making picks over the weekend.
Neil's a smart dude, man.
I know.
He's a really smart dude. That's why I think you may be.
So I'm going to have him on, like, hey, we're going to wait till next season, and on Aggie games, I'm going to have him be like, hey, what do you think?
Maybe
higher or lower on this particular projection.
Yeah. Maybe you'll get that done. We could
It's a
segue right
possibility.
into one of the topics we're going to talk about anyway, and that's the gambling bill. What they're trying to do is take away that fantasy sports and that draft pick idea here in Georgia, or at least make it possible to be put in as an amendment to the Constitution that is not gambling in some way or another. But right now, without a gambling bill, they're trying to take away the fantasy sports, so draft picks and things like that, prize picks, won't be able to continue on. And that's scary that they're going to take that away.
I won 50 the other night, by the way, but I dropped 20 recently.
Well, you're still up 30.
I know, but I gotta put it in play in order to win something.
As long as you're up. That's
right.
what I'm saying. But the thing I have, because I don't gamble at all. I didn't play the lottery. I don't go to Las Vegas. I don't go to Cherokee. I don't
It's
gamble
not
at
gambling
all.
when you win, sir.
Yes, right. Exactly.
That's what I tell myself all the time as I go, enter.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Don't tell me that, we can have the lottery and you can spend $10 for the opportunity to win more. Don't tell me that you can do that, yet you can't gamble on a ball game, or you can't gamble on a horse race or whatever. Like, it just doesn't make sense. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. Let it be. I just hate that weird, whatever that is, that people say, no, we're not going to allow gambling in Georgia. Yes, we allow the lottery.
Yeah.
That those two don't. That's what?
The funny part about this is that we are so into, especially right now with Governor Brian Kemp, bringing business to Georgia, bringing common sense business, as we give tax breaks to these businesses that we have to invest in as taxpayers, like infrastructure, changing the road like we did for Rivian, who's a complete failure, or we give money to Hollywood. Tons of tax breaks to Hollywood that kind of fall on our back as well. These kind of things don't help. But when it comes to something you don't really need an infrastructure for, all you need to do is allow people to make a decision whether or not they're going to gamble. That doesn't cost you a thing, and that's the ridiculous part about this. This is instant income for a budget that he wants to pass of $1 billion as we run through the surplus that we have as he keeps going out there and promising more money to everybody. Let's find another way to bring it in, and sports gambling is something that we can do without having to have such a huge investment.
There was a study that was done out of Auburn, and keep in mind, there is no uniformity to the effects of gambling on a particular community, a particular society. It's different everywhere. And so one of the ideas is, all right, it's a for-profit business that's going to create economic opportunities, jobs, revenue, all the things you want are tied into it. Mm-hmm. The argument is that, well, the impact on society outweighs the benefits of, let's say, sending thousands of kids to college because here's the revenue that's now tied into a state fund. All right, well, that's what you got to do. What happens in the state of Georgia can be completely different than what happens in New Jersey or Nevada or anywhere else. So it's really about how your society adapts to having this opportunity. The money shows up everywhere.
Yeah, the money would be perfect for us. I mean, you can send it into the Hope Scholarship. You can send it into education. You can use it as revenue for the state, bring it back. There's so many different options, and I think that's what we need to look at, and we need to really be responsible about this, because I'm one who won't gamble. I'll be honest. I don't want casinos here. I'll tell you that. But that's just me personally. Now, if they were to come in and they get signed in, I got no problem with them turning the underground into casinos. At least there'll be security there, and maybe we won't have as much crime down there. But you never know. They say it brings crime. I don't sports gamble, but I have no problem with it. I would if I felt comfortable with bets and I talked to Carlos. Yeah, maybe I would. But it's not something I particularly do. But I wouldn't want to take that revenue away from this state to better my life and everybody else's life when it came to infrastructure and other things we can use that money for.
So this Auburn study cites some of the ills that go on with the sports gambling realm and the gambling idea of if you bring it into your state. And one of the things that it notes is that it can lead to bankruptcy, crime, domestic abuse, and even suicide. So can marriage. All right, like there are things that you enter into that have it. So do drugs. So it's really about how you handle that individually. And so I think a lot of this, like I think about friends of ours like Mark Zeno, who takes part in working for basically the gambling industry, and he discusses different plays. And Mark is a gambler, but he's a responsible gambler. He doesn't get caught up in, I got to chase the weekend, or my kids aren't going to eat, or, I got to sell the car or sell the house. That's not how he operates. And that is a majority of legal gamblers. But there are the 1% where that's the outcome ain't going to be great, but that's the 1% of everybody.
It doesn't matter if it's alcohol. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's drugs. It doesn't matter what it is. If
women, whatever it is, whatever your vice is.
Food.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
All of it.
It really is, can you be responsible for yourself?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Nobody's going to be responsible for you. You have to be the person. You have to say, the buck stops here. I'm not going to have an extra drink. I'm not going to gamble my last $20 away. I'm not going to, whatever, eat 2 pizzas before I go to bed.
Right. Like, I know that if it's a big event and I want to have fun, I might call Carlos and be like, hey, the Super Bowl, what are you thinking? Where's the money? I'll put it on there, but I'm expecting that I'm going to lose. I'm going in there saying, hey, if I win, great. If not, at least I'm going to have fun during the game to do that. That's who I am as a responsible person. That's not a big deal. A lot of people, if you can't handle it, well, then that's too bad. But, you find that in the trans community. You want to sit and talk about the suicide rate. You want to talk about the mental illness that comes with it and all the other things. It comes with everything in our life that is not good for us, whether it's drinking, eating, smoking, any of that can cause harm. It's not the government's job to tell us what we can and can't do and then police us for the harm that it brings. Your job is to, if I break a law, go ahead, prosecute me for that.
If I hurt someone else.
But don't take something away from me that won't hurt anyone but me.
Like, I watched the Hawks game last night, and I didn't play it. And I'm going to watch a Spurs game tonight. Maybe I'll play it, maybe I won't. That's kind of the way I look at it, is that if it's an event, if you're going to make it a point to like watch a game and enjoy a game and build an evening around a game, then maybe you play it. But I'm not looking to play like some random Tuesday NBA game. I'm not going, there's a late night game that tips off at 10:30. I got to get back what I lost at 7 o'clock. Like, that's a foolish mentality. And so, again, a lot of this just comes down to personal responsibility. How are you when it comes to handling what you've been given?
It's pretty easy.
I can go buy as much booze as I want to after the show. I can go buy as many nicotine products as possible. Why don't I? Because I don't feel like doing that.
Or
it's not my thing.
Because we have
not till Friday or Saturday.
That's right. Because we have plenty of bottles of booze sitting in the bottom of our pantry in the kitchen of our home. Plenty. Gifts, some that I've bought. You know what I don't do? Drink them every day.
Yeah.
They're there. Yes. Do I consume them? Yes. Sometimes too much. But it's about that personal responsibility. And I think that this is a conversation that could be used in any situation. What are you doing to take care of your business?
Yep.
It boils down to that, I think.
By the way,
it's like the seatbelt thing. It's another thing that drives me.
Yeah, I mean, look, you want to put it on, put it on. If you don't, drive through the window. That's your stupid decision. I watched TGL, the new golf league, by the way, yesterday. Do not place any money on Jupiter Links, which is Tiger Woods' team. They're horrible.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's a fun, cool little sport, though. I do enjoy watching it.
Is this the indoor thing?
Yeah, this is the indoor thing. It's kind of fun.
All right, I'll check it out.
They talk such smack to each other on their own team. It's really funny.
9 o'clock hours brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. You can get 0% financing for 12 months or 10% off any job. Windows, doors, siding, roof, building a deck, screening in a deck. 0% financing for 12 months or 10% off any job. 8779 Southern, southernexteriors.co. When we come back, George is Executive Director for Citizens Defending Freedom. Holly Kessler joins us to talk about ditching Dominion voting systems. Next on the Morning Extra.
A new year, a new president, and a new approach for America. Extra 106.3 will be with you every step of the way in 2025 with the local and national voices you trust the most. Atlanta radio legends who've been with you for a generation and the worldwide resources of Fox News bringing you the latest. We are proud to start another year as the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra 106.3 app.
No one plans on going to jail, but at A Second Chance Bail Bonds, we believe everyone deserves a second chance. That's the driving force behind everything we do. If you or a loved one has been arrested across town or across the country, you need help now. A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast with bondsmen throughout Atlanta to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT. That's 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
When disaster strikes, the food supply is the first domino to fall. It can start quietly, an emergency alert, a breaking news headline. But within hours, reality sets in. People rush to grocery stores, emptying shelves of everything from bread to canned goods. Lines stretch out the door, tempers flare, and desperation takes hold. And no matter who's in charge these days, you simply can't rely on the government to bail you out. That's why having an emergency food supply on hand is the right move for you and your family. Right now, you can get $50 off a 4-week emergency food kit at mypatriotsupply.com. They're an American company trusted by millions, offering 2,000 calories per day with essential vitamins and minerals to keep you strong during a crisis. This food will be there for you when you need it, since it lasts up to 25 years and can ship out to you next day. Go to mypatriotsupply.com now to get $50 off your 4-week emergency food kit. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth if they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans automatic 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. Atlanta Smiles, 404-262-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. The civilian world can be confusing, and veterans do not need to journey through it alone. When you reach out to the Warrior Alliance, we will guide you to the best-in-class resources that can lead you toward renewed purpose after serving our nation. Find out why thousands of warriors have found success after service after engaging with the Warrior Alliance. For assistance, go to thewarrioralliance.org or call 404-210-1776.
Join Braves Vacations for some exciting road trips to historic cities and ballparks during the 2025 season. Fans can enjoy 3 games at Fenway Park in Boston to watch the Braves take on the Red Sox May 15th through the 19th, or head to Wrigley Field for 3 games against the Chicago Cubs August 31st through September 3rd. Road trip packages include deluxe hotel accommodations, game tickets, exclusive events with Braves team personnel, unique excursions, select meals, optional airfare, and more. Visit braves.com/vacation to learn more.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. South Fulton Mayor Khalid Kamu, who was arrested in July 2023 for trespassing and burglary, finds himself in trouble again. Residents and at least one council member of South Fulton have called for an investigation into the mayor's mishandling of city funds. Councilwoman Helen Willis says that Mayor Khalid made unauthorized purchases using a city-issued purchase card that exceeded $26,000. Willis also claims that the mayor took a trip to Africa among these unauthorized purchases. Mayor Khalid has refused to comment. DeKalb County police officers are investigating the shooting of a 25-year-old man at a gas station off Wesley Chapel Road near Interstate 20. Police were called to the scene and found the victim had been shot multiple times. He was quickly transported to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Police have not named the victim or identified any suspects. The case is currently under investigation. And in other news, Atlanta Police Chief Darren Schauerbaum announced that as the city prepares for the influx of people for Monday night's College Football National Championship, they are ready but need public cooperation. Chief Schauerbaum stated, "If you see something, say something." He urged residents to report any suspicious vehicles, individuals, or packages by calling 911 or flagging down a uniformed officer. The chief also said that the Atlanta Police Department is working in conjunction with the Georgia State Patrol, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security to ensure safety. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Xtra 1063.
The 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors, your home exterior solution since 1999. They're offering 10% off of any job that you do. Windows, doors, gutters, roofs, building a back deck on your house, build a front deck on your house, for that matter, screening it in, whatever you want. 10% off or 0% financing for 12 months. At Southern Exteriors, 877-9Southern, southernexteriors.co.
But no moats.
No, you can't do that.
No,
Yeah,
but no moats.
it's got to be attached to your house, I believe.
They could probably do a deck next to the moat for you.
Yes.
Come off there, yeah. Sure.
Probably so.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Really nice. Really nice.
But they do good work.
Maybe a bridge.
Yes, man. I bet they could do yes,
they can do anything. They're very good.
Yeah, no doubt. 877-9Southern, southernexteriors.co. The Georgia State Executive Director for Citizens Defending Freedom, Holly Kessler, joins us on the Morning Extra. Tug, Rhino, and Los. Good morning, Holly.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are y'all?
Good. We are doing well, and we love the work that you're doing, and the fact that you, like us, want our election secure. We want to know that our vote, when it's cast, will be counted and matter. And right now, we're in that weird position where you don't feel real good about it, and your group and the website is georgiansfortruth.org. Your folks want to see Dominion voting ditched in the state of Georgia, and you want to cancel the contract, demand a refund. That's some of the flyers that y'all handed out down at the state capitol. How do you propose to do that, and do you feel like that there's an opportunity to actually get it done? Because I know there's a lot of obstacles.
There are, and I think you kind of nailed it. You know, the most important thing is, and the highest civil right of our land is the sanctity of our vote, right? And so we've got to secure our elections. That's just number one. And as far as Dominion, there's been so many issues and so many things that we've seen across the board, and not to mention the amount of money. I mean, we're talking well in the millions, and I mean well in the hundreds of millions, actually, that go into all of these systems and getting them implemented and then upgrades. And, you know, of course, then once you use their system, you have to use their container. You know, it's the whole 9 yards, right? And so we have made a lot of progress. It's my organization. It's Georgians for Truth. There's also Voter GA, Election Integrity Network. I will say one thing Georgia has done just absolutely wonderfully. And Carolyn Ryan, y'all know she's a good friend of y'all's. She has really, really been instrumental in helping us with this. But we brought all of these organizations together to fight for Georgians and their vote and making sure that their voice matters. And so that's been very powerful. Just like, you know, we're talking about Monday, the first day of legislative session, all of us coming together and meeting up there and talking with legislators and meeting with people and doing calls to actions. You know, it really takes everybody coming together and doing that. So to answer your question, do I think it's going to happen? What I would like to see, and probably a lot of us, is like Mike Lindell referenced one time, let's rip them out and burn them down and make prison bars out of them. I don't know if that's going to happen. But I definitely think, the reality is they could get out of the contract. They could just pull the whole system out. We implemented it very, very quickly. I don't know how much of the history of all of this you guys are abreast with, but Dominion came in and was implemented very quickly. And so it would take no time to get it out. And, hand counting, we want hand-marked, hand-counting paper ballots. It's really, guys, it's the fundamentals of accounting. This isn't rocket science. It's like kindergarten math, And so it's definitely doable. It's getting everybody on board and educated. I still find today, even Monday, I found people that had no idea some of the things we were even talking about with the Dominion system. So education is huge. That's key. And, of course, that's where, media, you guys, and people like Carolyn come in and really help with that is, talking about it, getting it out on the air, just the information on the system, how much taxpayers are paying to maintain this, how many issues we have year after year, that our election officials are having to deal with. And a lot of times they're getting blamed or feel as though they're getting blamed for things that they really might not even have control over, or have no idea how it happened.
Holly, let me ask you about the Dominion voting machine and some of the issues that we have, because my concern is not just with a voting machine, it's with the Dominion voting machine and the ties. I don't like Eric. I don't like all the companies that are tied to Eric, Dominion. I don't like Salesforce being involved. They're a government, a Democrat plant. They continue to work on this and work on many of the same boards. I don't feel secure in our elections with the Dominion voting machine. I do feel secure in the way we're going, but we still have a long way to go. And especially since they didn't do an update this year before the election, even though everything worked out well and the detractors are going to be like, oh, you guys had a perfect election, but it still wasn't perfect.
It was not perfect, not at all. And I just want to say I love you and I love listening to you talk about that and all of the connections and everything else. That could be, that's like a whole nother day episode. It is absolutely crazy, and you're exactly right, And when you get into it, this is another thing that's so complicated. You mentioned, Eric, when you get into the voting system, you're right. It's not just Dominion. Then you have your voter rolls, and that's a whole nother. Oh, that's a disaster. And they're selling our information. So you have a third-party company contracted in who gets all of this information. That contract it's pretty scary, what they demand and have to get and that sort of thing. And then they get it, and then they work with these other groups, around the country or world or, whatever. And so all of our information is just being thrown out there to the wolves. So that's dangerous. Then we've got, I'll throw another one out there. You saw the flyer. Dominion's a foreign Canadian company. And on our poll tape, it's a Canadian law. They reference their local authority elections act. Well, that's actually Canadian. That's not American. So we can't even get it right. I'm like, can we just get the wording right? Anything. So there's all these things. Then you have all this money flowing in. And just like the same people that, there was the big issue this past year. I'm sure you're aware of it. It was all over the news. And, of course, everybody's suing everybody over it, but the Fulton County Board monitoring that goes in and pays, watches the board, oversees the elections, what have you. That company and those people that were paid $1.5 million to do that are the same company that are running the ballot system on the Secretary of State's website. And so there's all sorts of different conflicting of interests, and the same parties being paid here to go there. So there's a lot of money entanglement, and that's never good either,
Holly Kessler is our guest, and let me follow up just right there, because, yes, we can talk about the issues that Dominion brings forth, but also I think it's a double-edged sword. It's also the voter rolls that we just have a complete mess with. Talk about how we're trying to clean up a couple of different factors so that when we do have our elections, we can look at them and say that was clean, that was fair, and it was precise.
Right, exactly. And, we have a great team of people that work on the voter rolls, and they go through them. And, of course, over the years, people, some patriots or other organizations have built out some software groups or tools, rather, that kind of help go through that, because it is a process to go through the voter rolls. But we pay for those. We've been paying for them every single month since 2020. We dive into them. I've actually got a call today, a statewide call today that I'm doing with people who work on voter rolls, and it's pretty much, if you've got time and you know how to work Excel, or kind of good in that range, then jump on board with the team. We need help in that arena because our voter rolls are a disaster. I mean, we have dead people. When I say dead people, I'm not talking about people that just passed away in the last 10 years. I mean, there are some of those. But I'm talking about like their date of birth is in the 1800s.
Wow.
So they would be, obviously, they're not alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They could be vampires.
That's right.
Yeah. And that's just one example. I mean, there's so many. There's the duplicate voters. We have a ton of those. Uwakava is a complete disaster. We had a lot of Uwakava voters in the state of Georgia that didn't even have, their residential address was the same as their mailing address, or they were just the next county over. And that's a complete violation of Uwakava. You're not supposed to be in the United States, So there's so many things that surround our voter rolls. And without those being cleaned up, they can, whoever it is that has access to these systems, and you're not just talking about the state of Georgia, you're not just talking about Eric, you're talking about third-party companies that handle all your mail-in ballots, your absentee ballot printing. They get all of our voter roll data, too. And so all it takes is one nefarious actor to get a list and know that people aren't doing, this person isn't, there's no way this person's alive, but this person's on the voter rolls. We're going to take that name and we're going to fill out a ballot for it and just mail it in. So if you're not holding people accountable to the law of keeping our voter rolls clean, you are absolutely opening up the door for fraudulent activity for mail-in and, early absentee and mail-in voting.
Holly Kessler
right. Voter rolls are a mess.
Holly Kessler is the Georgia State Executive Director for Citizens Defending Freedom. You talked a lot about people getting involved, people that understand, people that realize and recognize there's a problem. But I think most people don't know what to do, don't know how to get involved. And you would be a good resource to do that. How do folks reach out to you? How do they get more involved? How do they become part of your organization or volunteer with your organization, volunteer in their local communities, and use your organization as a guide to cleaning up voter rolls, to hopefully one day ditching Dominion, or whatever it is that we want to accomplish to make sure that our votes are secure?
So I encourage everybody to go to our website at citizensdefendingfreedom.com. You can sign up. It'll actually take you to Georgia. Those come to me. A lot of people go to causeofamerica.org, too. That's another great resource. Of course, I mentioned, Georgians for Truth and Voter GA as well. But when people sign up with us at Citizens Defending Freedom, what I do is I get them engaged in their local county groups. And we all work together, so they're all going to get everybody's information. But the most important thing is getting people connected to the other grassroots groups that are active in their county, or it might be a neighboring county, because it's a community thing. It's local action. You've got to start locally and work to get your own counties cleaned up. Of course, obviously, we come together on state level, and then, we've got the top end as well, but local action is the most important. So people can go to citizensdefendingfreedom.com and get signed up there, and then I'll reach out and get everybody, where they need to go in their respective areas.
There you go.
Thank you, Holly. Also, I want the QR code's gone. Love it. I want nanotechnology ballots that can be tracked. No more of this BS of all these other ballots printed and ready to go. So keep fighting.
Yeah.
We love it.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Love the work you're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you, guys.
I hope you will come back and join us again soon.
Of course. Let me know when.
Yes, ma'am. There you go, Holly Kessler. Great. You can hear the thing I think I love about it the most is you can hear the passion for what she's doing. She genuinely cares that your vote matters, that your vote counts. And that is a grassroots thing, and that's in everybody. It takes everybody to care about it as much as she does.
Well, just because you like the outcome doesn't mean we still don't have some issues.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, or a lot of issues for that matter. No doubt about it. It's funny. People are the loudest when things don't go their way, and then when it does, they quiet down. They're content. And they shouldn't be.
I mean, the reason why you have Donald Trump going back into office is because it was a massive wave election for him. Had this thing been tighter, then you would have been looking at all the craziness that goes on with some of these voting systems.
When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. Joe Biden is hoping to get out of office with a win. I doubt he will. As a matter of fact, I'll say he won't. But he's going to try. That's our discussion next as we wrap up the Morning Extra. Tug, Rhino, and Los until 10.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
The Hawks beat the Suns last night, 122-117, on the back of a 43-point game from Trae Young with 22 points and 21 boards from Onyeka Okongwu. Another basketball team in Georgia has been playing even better, though. UGA is a 23rd ranked team in the country with a 14-2 record and are coming off impressive wins against Oklahoma and 8th-ranked Kentucky. Georgia has a tough road ahead, though. For tonight, they play 6th-ranked Tennessee, then the best team in the country in Auburn on Saturday. In February, the Dogs then play 4 more top 25 teams. For Extra 106.3 Sports, I'm Joe Virgin.
Hey, it's Rhino here from my friends over at True Prep in Marietta on Cobb Parkway. Let me ask you about your preparedness. Are you ready for any kind of storm? Are you ready for anything that you may encounter, like a wildfire, like a flood, like a hurricane, like a overturned train in your water supply? Well, I hope so. If not, there's one place you can go, and that's True Prep in Marietta on Cobb Parkway. And you know what? They're a locally owned and operated company. They have everything you need in case of preparedness. They have your freeze-dried food, your water filtration, your first aid kits, and they also have your firearms, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest price around. You got to go check them out in Marietta on Cobb Parkway. But I also want you to go online, because if you're new to this, you don't always want to go in and just ask a million questions. You can get them answered in some of the great workshops that they put on almost every weekend, including the Intro to Emergency Preparedness. You got to go visit them online at trueprep.com. That's TRU prep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow with True Prep.
Military veterans are eager to transfer their skills and experiences to civilian life, but lack trusted connections to expedite their path to success. The civilian world can be confusing, and veterans do not need to journey through it alone. When you reach out to the Warrior Alliance, we will guide you to the best-in-class resources that can lead you toward renewed purpose after serving our nation. Find out why thousands of warriors have found success after service after engaging with the Warrior Alliance. For assistance, go to thewarrioralliance.org or call 404-210-1776.
Stop dreaming. Start driving. Get the gift that keeps on giving with the RBM of Atlanta Baby It's Cold Outside sales event, exclusively at RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Each of our certified pre-owned vehicles undergoes an exhaustive process of analysis, inspection, and reconditioning until it meets the uncompromising standards of RBM of Atlanta and Mercedes-Benz. For a limited time, get financing from as low as 3.49% APR. In addition, you'll receive unlimited confidence with Mercedes-Benz's unlimited mileage warranty, delivering continued assurance for up to 7 years. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details and see how to qualify. We'd love to welcome you to the RBM of Atlanta family. Not all offers apply to all vehicles, and special financing available to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Services through January 31st, 2025. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call 770-390-0700 for details.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Shooting drills. A coach who knows the game can teach their team how to improve, but one who genuinely cares about each player.
You have what it takes. We got this.
Can inspire them to win. At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking. Because when you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Start feeling unstoppable. Visit truist.com/care. Truist Bank, member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank.
Hey there, it's Tara, owner and publisher of Our Town Monthly magazine. We're celebrating 20 years of local voices, familiar faces, and community businesses.
Happy anniversary to Our Town Monthly.
Happy anniversary, Our Town Monthly. Here's to 20 more years.
Because of you, we're so proud to be Cobb's premier lifestyle magazine, and we want you to be part of it. So if you want your business in the hands of over 750,000 Cobb residents, or maybe you have a story to tell, reach out at ourtownmonthly.com or call us 678-337-7844. 678-337-7844. Because Our Town is your town for 20 years and growing at Our Town Monthly.
Happy anniversary, Our Town Monthly. Thanks for 20 great years of being Cobb's premier lifestyle magazine.
Happy anniversary, Our Town Monthly. Congratulations on 20 great years.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. With daily commentary you'll hear throughout the day. And he's on live with a Morning Extra every Tuesday morning at 7:30. Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3. And catch all of Neil's commentary on the Extra app.
As soon as we're done at 10, you'll get a Fox News update, a Neil Bortz report, and then the Glenn Beck program. After that, the biggest show in all of conservative media, with Buck Sexton and Clay Travis. Just the Clay and Buck show stepping in, filling as best they can the role, the shoes of the late, great Rush Limbaugh. I mean, nobody can fill those shoes, but they're certainly carrying the torch well. And then the local afternoon show with the Kimber, Pete, and Flounder here on Extra 106.3. Joe Biden would love nothing more than to leave office with a win, because he's had none. Other than terrible legislation in the Inflation Reduction Act, a.k.a. the Green New Deal. That's it. And that's been detrimental to the United States. Now, his party would consider that a win, but he needs a win, because tonight he's going on national television to tell us how great he's leaving the nation to Donald Trump. I expect that he'll talk about the economy being great, that he's turning over to Trump, and the world's a safe place, that he's done so much to make it so he can turn this over to Donald Trump. Now, I don't believe any of that stuff, but I expect that's what you'll hear. So he desperately wants a win. He wants to be able to negotiate, quote unquote, negotiate a peace deal between Hamas and Israel. I don't know that that's going to happen in the remaining 5 days that he has. Y'all can tell me if you feel differently, but something tells me that Israel wouldn't give it to him. Like if they were, if they were ready to do it, they're going to wait 6 days to do it.
Yeah, look, there's a lot going on right now. They've already kind of talked, and Netanyahu and a lot of the other leaders there have already said that they've talked with Trump, they've talked with J.D. Vance, they've talked and feel like they have a better grasp on what can happen. But this is the same thing, and this is, again, this isn't the first ceasefire deal, by the way, that the Biden administration has brokered for Hamas to be able to go out and break it. So expect the same. Here's the deal that they've come up with so far, which is why Netanyahu and them are going to kind of balk at it. We're going to release maybe a dozen of the hostages back to Israel, but we want hundreds released, thousands released from prison that are actual prisoners, that are actually people who attacked people in the streets. And I just think it's going to fail. I think they're going to wait for Trump to be able to get in there, show that strength, and say, no more ceasefires. We're ending this thing.
Is Hamas smashed?
By and large, yes. But no, an ideology never dies.
Because that's kind of the goal, right? Mm-hmm. And if they're going to offer you to give back some of the people that they've been holding hostage, it's only because they have nothing left. That's their last play. That's where we've gotten to. This is the last thing they have. And so,
thanks to Israel.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
to Joe Biden.
And so, yes, is it still a terrorist network? Is it still an ideology? Well, yes, and hopefully what you did, because this is how these things work, hopefully you went ahead and put it back in the bottle for about 20 years.
This was Joe Biden saying Wednesday night, I'm going to say goodbye to this, to all the constituents of America, all Americans. I'm going to stand up there, and I want to be able to put this on my plate. So we got to get this done. Even though it's ridiculous, even though we know it's one-sided and it really doesn't benefit the people of Israel, we're going to try to get this done so I could say it on a national stage as one of my accomplishments. That's all this is. The reality is this is a holy war that's not going to end with this little ceasefire deal. We all know that Hamas will break that. It won't take long for them to go ahead and fire something at the Israelis, and that's all this is. I love what Pete Hegseth said yesterday, the incoming Secretary of Defense. I don't want to stop until every Hamas member, every single one of them, is wiped off this earth, killed, destroyed, and never to rise again. And I'm all for that. And you know what? I support Netanyahu in that, and I support anybody else, especially Donald Trump, who does as well.
Yes. Until it is eradicated, we're going to continue to put our boot on their neck. That's what we have to do. That's the only thing that is going to stop terrorism from continuing to fester and grow and hold countries accountable. I think Donald Trump will do that. I think Pete Hegseth will do that. I think the administration will do that. Will there be missteps? Yes. Will there be failures? Yes. There will be all those things. But at least, if nothing else, y'all, at least I feel like there's somebody coming into the White House and into the Pentagon that actually cares, that actually wants to accomplish these goals. I never once believed that Barack Obama wanted to accomplish that goal or Joe Biden wanted to accomplish that goal. Never once. So to see us trending in the right direction is encouraging.
Yeah, I didn't expect Barack Hussein Obama, who gave $1.5 trillion to Iran on a pallet of cash, billion, was really in Israel's corner and trying to wipe out terrorism. Sorry, I didn't, and I still don't. And I think Democrats are playing a game that they can't win, number one. Number two, they don't want to win. They don't want these people to be in control of anything, nor do they want those Palestinians to really just be re-energized in any way whatsoever.
Isn't it just fine if Joe Biden takes the L on everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well accept it. I mean, he's got it on.
I mean, core inflation as they go out in December, it's like, it's lighter than expected. Still here.
Yeah. We got the most jobs that we've ever created.
Yeah, inflation is up again this month, by the way.
It's about 5 million.
Yeah. And all that's government.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some healthcare.
% of jobs that have been created are government jobs. You're taking $1 out of the private sector every single time you do it.
Yep. It's silly.
Loss.
No, they only try to push these fake accomplishments by moving numbers around. That's all they continue to do, instead of actually putting out real things that affect the American people. I like that President Trump's not even in office yet, and we're already passing common sense legislation. It's already getting through, and people are pushing aside the ridiculousness of Democrats and their virtue signals and all their games and everything else, because that's all they're doing. They play games and say, this is what we did. We passed this Infrastructure Act. Okay, how many homes have broadband? 0. Why? Well, we created all these jobs, but none of them actually know what they're doing yet. So we're going to get that up. It's going to take years. We don't have years for your garbage anymore.
And what do government jobs do? They write rules and regulations.
They're placeholders.
They do nothing. They don't create anything.
No.
They take your money and use it somewhere else, maybe in a place that you wouldn't even agree that it being used. But they don't create things.
They create wealth for themselves.
Well,
that's what they create, right?
Yeah.
These jobs that they create, they do based on budgets. They want more money from the American people, so they've got to increase the budget. What's the best way of increasing the budget? Fonnie Willis is doing it right here in Georgia. We haven't talked about it, but she's blaming the prison system. She's blaming the fact that they can't prosecute crime is because they don't have enough money. Every year they get a budget increase, and they fail.
Failures. So when you watch Joe Biden, if you choose to watch Joe Biden tonight, Joe Biden, if you choose to watch him, then you will see him tout things that are nonsensical. You'll know it. And if I weren't doing this job, I would not watch him tonight. I promise you I would not. I will, because we'll have to talk about it tomorrow.
Can't wait
and
to
fill you in, because you're probably lucky enough not to have to watch it.
You think he's going to fall asleep?
No, they'll have him
You should have seen him yesterday talking to the LA firefighters with Kamala Harris. She had to jump in and ask a question because he got lost.
Yes. Yeah, it'll be. I think they'll have him jumped up on something, so he'll be able to make it the
cocaine.
Well, look, his family's notorious for that, so I hear. All right, that'll do it for us. Y'all come back now. You hear?
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's Kimmer. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
Well, here we are, a new year. Question today, what was the big story of 2024? At my age, surviving it. But I mean for the whole country. A lot of people might say it's the election. Donald Trump being reelected. Big story, to be sure. But it was going to happen one way or the other. Happens every 4 years. To me, the big story of this year was CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, all of the alphabet networks, the Washington Times, the Washington Post, New York, the major newspapers, everybody out there hiding the sad decline of Joe Biden, the President of the United States.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.